about the law of attraction or manifestation, if you will, there's going to be three main laws that we want to pay attention to. And the first one is like attracts like. The second one is nature abhors a vacuum. And the third one is the present is always perfect. So we'll get more into like attracts like. It's going to have a lot more to do with our thoughts than people think, like people, when we say like attracts like. But this has a lot more to do with your thoughts. Your thinking is what attracts or creates. Nature abhors a vacuum. So a lot of folks come to hypnosis or yoga or anything really, and they're like, I don't want this, I don't want this. So if you're running around saying, I don't want this, I don't want this, what do you want? Because the subconscious mind doesn't always hear don't, it just hears I and want. It negates the don't. So you're kind of attracting the things you don't want, or you're leaving it at the very least open, like a vacuum, to just attract random things. So you want to be focused on what you do want, because that's going to create the manifestation process. And the third principle is the present is always perfect. Now I realize that sounds kind of awkward because sometimes the present is far from perfect in my mind if I'm thinking, but that's kind of a relative state. So what it means is to kind of focus on making the present as perfect as it can. So they give it an example a lot of times of someone who's stuck in a job they don't like, and that kind of creates a stuckness because you're saying, I'm stuck. And so you want to kind of make the job the best it can be for you, whether it's you don't get along with your boss, you want to find a way to get along with your boss. So it's kind of like a karma thing almost, because you're kind of creating the most perfect situation you can so that you can move on to the next phase. So when I like to talk about the laws of attraction, I like to use hypnotic languaging. So I talk about the 10 mental laws of the mind. And they're very much in alignment with laws of attraction. I almost think they were, meant to go together. So the first one is going to be the law of cause and effect. And basically it says in order for something to exist or to happen, there has to be a cause. And thought is the cause of all creation, all existence. The second law is the law of focus. So we have the ability to choose what to focus on, and we do that whether consciously or subconsciously. We're constantly focusing on something. So if I have a bruise on my leg, I can focus on the bruise on my leg, or I can focus on the other 900 parts of my body that feel good, but we tend to choose the negative sometimes. The third law is going to be the law of free will, which basically says that our thoughts are always creating. And then the fourth is the law of creation. It says, since we are generally, most of the time thinking, we are generally creating or manifesting. We want to make sure we are manifesting or creating what it is we do want. Then we move on to the fourth law of the mind, which is the law of emotion. So sometimes it's not a thing, sometimes it's an emotion that we want more of or less of if we're focused on what we don't want. And this law says that we can't have an emotion without having a thought before it, which is, profound for some times of our lives. The next one is going to be the law of individualization, which basically says that whatever you think the world looks like, that is indeed what it looks like to you. That's what we call your map of the world in NLP. And the next one is the law of sponsoring thoughts. So what this says is your belief patterns determine your experience of the world. So our beliefs are below kind of our thoughts, and our beliefs, we kind of need to shed limiting beliefs. So it's a lifetime journey for some of us. The next one is the law of substitution. And this says that you can only change your thinking by replacing old thought patterns with new ones. So remember, nature abhors a vacuum. So if you're just saying, I'm not going to think this way, I'm not going to think this way, I'm not going to think this way, you're still thinking that way. You need to replace old beliefs, old thoughts with new ones in order to move on to manifest the things that you do want. And so the ninth one is the law of mental equivalence. So this is where things get a little profound. It says like attracts like, just like one of the laws of attraction. And then it goes on to say that our outer experiences, whatever you're experiencing in life or seeing in life, are equivalent to our deepest thoughts. So your deepest inner thoughts and beliefs are creating everything that is around you, everything that you see. So you're manifesting all the time, you're attracting all the time. But when we think of the law of attraction, we think, oh, I'm getting what I want. Well, you're getting what you focus on. So focus on what it is you do want, basically. And so 10, the law of manifestation says our thoughts are real, thoughts are things. And everything is energy, remember that. So thoughts are things. And cause and effect are the same when you remember to remove the construct of time. Remember, time and space are constructs we made so that we could function as a society. But when you remove that, cause and effect, thoughts and what we see are the same. So kind of profound. So again, remembering that everything is energy and energy is our thoughts. So we want to be thinking, we want to be mindful of our thoughts basically. So besides being mindful of our thoughts, the ways to use the law of attraction is going to be to ask the universe for what it is you do want, focusing on what you want, and then absolutely believe that you're going to receive it. If you have these limiting beliefs, say, I don't deserve that, it's never going to happen, then you're not truly believing. So you have to release the limiting beliefs and step into truly believing. And then you want to be open to gracefully receive. And I say gracefully because the universe can be a big joker sometimes. You might get exactly what you said you want, but you have to be careful what you think or say you do want. And also the way that you get it might not be exactly the way you had thought. So the universe can be a joker, but you do want to receive things with gratitude and appreciation as well. And so some things that we use besides focusing on being mindful with our thoughts can be journaling or meditating, especially on gratitude, because the more grateful we are for the things we have. So remember, if you're going around focusing on things that you're not grateful for, or things that annoy you, or things you don't want, you're kind of attracting that in. So focusing on gratitude, not only does it change your brain, basically, it also attracts. So you can do this by journaling or meditating, like I said. Vision boarding can be a fun kind of way. We do that once a year here in a group. And then another thing that I like to have clients or folks do is live as if, and this doesn't mean, go crazy or anything, but especially at bedtime, because remember, our subconscious minds never sleep. Our conscious mind does, but our subconscious mind works on whatever the last thing that we put into it is for the whole night while we are asleep, our conscious mind, that is. So you want to live as if right before you go to sleep. You can envision, you can imagine, you can see, feel, dream, and really just get into that state of what it's like to have the things you do want. And then we talked about this in some of our past Mindful Mondays. I think it was the one on confidence, where we can use NLP modeling. So if you are kind of stuck somewhere, feeling stuck somewhere, then you might focus on kind of copying, per se. It's called modeling in NLP. Someone who does have, or the things or the way of being that you want to be or act like or have, and then just kind of get into their mind and copy the way they do things. And, that's basically, you're just modeling them. So that is how we get better at things. And then the other thing is we want to really, it's, my mind, we're going to call it NLP anchoring, but it's also a form of gratitude and appreciation too. So when you do get the things that you do want, because we're getting them all the time, the things that you focus on and do want, so consciously paying attention to it, then you want to anchor into these things. So when we drop an anchor because we're fishing, it means it's a great place to be. And we want to do the same for NLP. So I do it with a hand position. I like to use my yoga mudras. So sometimes I'll do a middle finger to thumb means infinite possibilities. So like that one, and the pinkies extended, other fingers touching the thumb. That means inner smile, inner joy. So those are two of my favorite hand anchors, but you can choose anything you want that doesn't have another association kind of thing. And then you'll take, anytime that you do get something you want, you're going to name that feeling. You can name it with anything you do want, a word, a phrase, an image, a sound, a song. And hi, I see hearts, thank you. And then you want to take a big breath in. You're going to fire your hand anchor, which means touch your fingers together. On the exhale, you'll think or say your word or phrase, your trigger phrase that's going to bring up these things. And I do that 3 times. So I want to anchor into anything that does feel positive, that I am getting more of, kind of thing. So that is all we have for today. If you have any questions, any comments, feel free to reach out. Thanks so much and have a wonderful day.